Yo, what is up guys, it is Cody. In this video we're going to be going over the Ardent Flame skills and which morphs are viable and which morphs are complete ass. So without further ado, let's jump into the first active ability, Lava Whip. We have Molten Whip and Flame Lash, so both of these morphs are going to be strictly for Magicka users only. Molten Whip is a PvE skill. This is going to increase your spell damage by 70 for Ardent Flame abilities only. So anything in the Ardent Flame skill line is going to be increased by 70. Flame Lash is more of a PvP skill. Basically, when an opponent is immobile or stunned, you can set them off balance. And when you set them off balance, this ability changes into Power Lash, allowing you to lash an enemy for more intense flame damage, dealing about 2k more than the initial, and it gives you a hot of 13k over 2 seconds. Keep in mind these numbers can increase or decrease depending on how much spell damage, Magicka, and how your CP is allocated. Next up we have Searing Strike. This is a DK dot. We have a Stamina and Magicka morph. First we're going to jump into the Stamina, which is a Venomous Claw. Basically it applies a small amount of initial damage of poison, and it gives a powerful poison dot over 10.5 seconds. The damage increases by 9% every 2 seconds, and it is a very cheap costing stamina skill. We also have Burning Embers, which is the Magicka morph. It's also very cheap, and basically does the same thing. It's an initial flame, and it's a flame dot instead for 10.5 seconds. But instead of increasing damage by 9% every 2 seconds, it's going to heal you for 76% of the damage inflicted when the effect ends. Basically, you can receive a heal if you reapply it again, but the longer you leave the dot on, the better the heal is going to be. Keep in mind this heal, the 76%, can be increased by major mending and CP. Fire Breath is another dot. We have a Stamina and Magicka morph. Noxious Breath. It is a cone morph ability. Basically, it's not single target, so you can affect the multiple enemies that are in front of you. This deals an initial poison damage. It's very small, even smaller than Searing Strike, and it leaves a poison dot as well. So it's kind of like the same thing as the previous ability, but they have different effects. This one is going to give Major Fracture, which basically reduces your opponent's physical resistance by 50 to 80. Physical resistance is very important in this game. It makes an opponent very, basically to take less damage. When you apply this, your damage can definitely take a big hit, since you're going to be doing a lot more damage to the opponents affected by this skill. Engulfing Flames is the Magicka morph, flame damage initial, and a flame dot. And affected enemies take 7% additional damage from all flame attacks. Both of these morphs are able to use in PvE and PvP. Just make sure you're using the correct morph, depending on if you're Magicka or Stamina. So this morph, the affected enemies take 7% additional damage from all flame attacks. This is good for Magicka DKs, and it's good for PvE and PvP. Fire Grip is the so-called gap closer. Not a lot of DKs use gap closers, so keep that in mind. I would not slot this on your bar. This is changing next patch, and I will have an update video, but this pulls you to the enemy, so you'll go to them. This is basically what a gap closer is supposed to be like. So the gap closer does a little bit of damage, and it grants you Empower, increasing your next ability by 20%, and it's going to give you speed for 2 seconds. I don't really know why they put the speed on this, but this can be dodged, and it is very annoying to use, and not a lot of DKs use it. Unrelenting Grip is definitely a PvE morph. It pulls enemies to you, and if the enemy cannot be pulled, you are refunded for the Magicka cost, which is good. You still get the speed, you still get the initial damage. This is used a lot when players are trying to get a lot of opponents to the same spot. Basically in PvE, if there's a lot of enemies and you want to clump them up to AoE them down or kill them all at once, you would use this morph. A tank would use it usually. Not really used in PvP unless you're trying to pull in opponents. I don't see why you would do that unless you're... It can be used in both PvE and PvP, but mostly PvE. Lastly, we have Flame of Oblivion and Cauterize. This is a skill that's usually used in PvE. Not a lot of DKs use it in PvP. You launch a flame ball basically every 5 seconds. It deals quite a bit of damage, and you gain Major Prophecy and Major Savagery, increasing your spell weapon critical ratings to 2191. This is the morph you want to go to if you are a Magicka DK. A lot of Magicka DKs use this on their bar. Only one bar. Cauterize, instead of shooting a flame ball, it heals an ally every 5 seconds, and and it still gives you major prophecy. Not a lot of Dragonknights use this morph, and I rarely see it, so I probably would not use this morph. Flames of Oblivion is definitely the way to go for PvE. It can be good in PvP, it's just like most of the time Dragonknights just cannot fit this whole spar. And we have the ultimate ability, Dragonknight Standard. We have Shifting Standard, which costs 200, lasts for 17 seconds, and it has an 8-meter radius. It's going to deal flame damage each second to nearby enemies and afflict them with Major Defile, which is going to reduce their healing by 30%. So it's a great skill in PvP. Basically, most opponents will roll out of this. What's good about this morph is that you can place it again, as long as you place it within that 17 seconds. Also, your allies can use a synergy called Shackle, which deals flame damage and immobilizes enemies in range. This is definitely the PvP morph to go for a Dragonknight, Magic Dragonknight that is. Standard of Might, on the other hand, costs 250 ultimate, has the same duration and radius, but is definitely PvE prioritized since it increases your damage by 17%. It also reduces your damage double to you by 17%, but this is definitely the PvE morph just because it increases all of your damage. That is it for the Ardent Flame skill line. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget, I will be doing an update video for the update 13. I know a couple of skills have changed, and I will let you guys know which of those skills have been changed. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. It's been Cody, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.